Hello everyone, it's Tracy here to share a tutorial for this industrial steampunk card featuring the fabulous Classic Gentleman collection by Birdie Crafts. I trimmed 1/8 of an inch from both sides of my focal paper so that I can add a border around the edges. I took the paper from 3 sides so that I did not cut into the gorgeous design elements, so it ended up being a perfect 5 7/8 inch square. The border piece is 6 by 6 inches, cut from black cardstock. In case you haven't seen my previous video, here's how I adhere the 2 pieces so that they are easy to align. Start by placing lined double-sided tape around the back edges of the smaller focal paper. Once the tape is in place, add a few squiggles of silicone glue to the center. While the glue is still wet, it's easy to adjust the paper so that the edges are perfectly even. After the glue has had a chance to set, remove the paper lining from the tape and rub with a Teflon bone folder to secure the tape in place. A pair of tweezers makes removing that liner a little bit easier. I just adore the hints of patina on this sheet. I decided to accentuate this color by blending on peacock feathers and hickory smoke distress ink while leaving a portion of the beautiful sepia color uncovered. By this time I have a good idea where I will be placing the embellishments and add the accent color around these areas. You might notice that I first rub the brush onto my craft mat before applying the ink. This makes for softer blended edges and avoids distinctive brush marks on the paper. I fussy cut a top hat and gears from these fantastic images. I'm a multitasker, so when I get a new paper pack, I keep the element sheet and scissors handy so I can cut away while watching a bit of television. Then when I'm ready to create a project, the images are ready to go. I die cut these gears from one of the papers in the Classic Gentleman 6 by 6 inch pack. This is my first time using Little Birdie Thincut dies. I'm impressed with the detail and how nicely they cut. These gears are cut from a similar color to this fabulous focal paper, so they tend to disappear into the background. To solve this dilemma, I rub the edges with black ink. I'm using a small oval makeup brush for the outer edges, along with a round brush for the centers. Not only does this create contrast so the gears will be more visible, but it also gives the grungy feel I'm going for. Here you can see how nicely the inked edges now show up against the background. Now is when the fun begins. One of my favorite aspects of creating is transforming shiny new objects into aged grungy pieces with patina that looks like it happened over decades of weathered exposure. The first thing I do is brush the pieces with black gesso and then use a soft paper towel to remove most of it, leaving some paint in the cracks and crevices. I have to confess, I tend to be a collector of industrial embellishments. Some of these items are purchased, like the Tim Holtz pieces, while others are found objects like the cotter pin I snatched from my husband's workbench a while back. I glued a little piece to the top of the cotter pin. I have no idea what it is, but it was the right size and had that industrial vibe I was looking for. Here I'm using my finger to apply aqua sheen metallic wax to areas of the metal elements where patina might naturally occur. Now I'm going back in with Caribbean Teal tinted metallic paint mixed with a little black gesso to highlight those same areas. Using both wax and paint gives a wonderful depth of color and texture. I'm using fired brick metallic paint to add rich coppery highlights. I hope you enjoy viewing my creative process. I'm using a mix of paper, glass, and metal embellishments stacked and arranged together. How cool is it that the clock is a perfect fit for the optical lens? The top hat was not part of my original plan, but as I was looking through the fussy cut pieces from this collection, it caught my attention. I think it adds a fun touch of whimsy to this industrial card. I'm using two types of glue to adhere the elements. This Tombow glue goes on in a thin line, so it works very well for things like this optical lens that needs just a touch of glue around the very thin frame. This glue remains tacky after it dries, so for items with a narrow edge, I prefer to let it dry first before adhering. Glue has what I call the splooge factor. When it's wet, it splooges out and is often visible around the edges of the embellishment once it dries. By allowing this glue to dry before adhering, it stays in place and does not splooge. The die-cut paper gears have a wider area for gluing, so I can apply them directly to the background without waiting for it to dry. I have a paper towel just off screen, and when needed, I dab off any excess glue before placing the paper elements onto the card. You could also use gel medium here, but since I already had this glue out, I just kept on using it. I'm using silicone glue for the larger, heavier metal pieces to hold them securely. Heavy gel medium could also be used here, but has a longer drying time. Now that the Tombow glue has had a chance to dry, I'm adding these elements to the card. And don't forget, this will only work using a glue that remains tacky once dry. As a final touch, I'm adding texture using little Birdie ebony black microbeads, along with prills and copper microbeads from my stash using soft gel medium. I've tried different ways to apply texture, but keep going back to brushing on the gel medium, then sprinkling the beads into the gel. Any loose microbeads can be caught with a coffee filter. I hope you enjoy these photos of the completed card. Thanks so much for viewing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Leave a comment or question below. Your feedback and support mean so much to me. You can stop by the Little Birdie store to pick up many of the supplies used in this video. Links can be found in the description below.